everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Super Mastro Bros podcast. I am your host as always, Roman, and I am joined as always by my baby bro, Nico. Nico, say what's up to the people.
Hello, everybody.
I say it before, I said it again, I'll say it every time. You guys can be doing anything right now in the world, and if you're here joining us, we sincerely thank you, and we love you guys, and really appreciate you being a part of the Super Mastro Bros podcast family. So, I guess to kick it off, what I'd like to do is just kind of recap on some of the things that we talked about in our initial podcast. During the launch episode, we talked about reboots, and we brought up two games that we wanted to see rebooted. One I brought up, which was Streets of Rage 4, and Nico brought up Onimusha. Both, ironically, we just found out are being rebooted. So either that was coincidental and, just odd timing, or someone's listening to the Super Mastro Bros. Podcast over there at Sega. And who makes Onimusha? Who's the...
Capcom.
Over there at Capcom. So, maybe one of the subscribers is someone on the board over there, and they decided to rapidly increase production and bring it back. But I'm really happy about Streets of Rage 4 coming back for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to both of those games.
The clip that I saw, like the quick little teaser for Streets of Rage 4, looked awesome.
Yeah, it has an interesting art direction. It's much more modernized, obviously. So, I hope it has more than just two characters, though, because they only showed two characters.
It would have to, I would imagine. 3 was the minimum out of any of them, so...
Yeah, the first one had 3, and then the second one had, 4, and I think the third one had, 6. I really don't remember too well now because we're going back many years.
Yeah, it's 30
but
years.
After a while, they got quite a few. I saw where there was a fan-made, Streets of Rage 4 or something like that, where they had even the boss from the first one as a playable character. But, whenever a fan-made something comes out, sooner or later, the company gets involved. It's like, no, you got to take this down. So
what was his name? Mr. Evil or something like that? It was like something...
Mr. something. I don't really remember.
It was something sinister.
I just remember he had a sick machine gun.
Yeah. But yeah, cool that they're bringing that back. So I'm looking forward to those. One thing I want to do for our podcast, I think that you'd probably be game for it, is I wanted to introduce a little segment where we talk about something that happened in history on that particular day that we record. What I found today was that today, 35 years ago, He-Man debuted on air for the first time.
Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, 35 years ago. That just goes to show our age.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
Yeah.
I loved that as a kid when that came out.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I liked it. I even liked the movie, even though,
Dolph Lundgren?
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren was in that as He-Man?
Yeah, which is an interesting choice. He kind of looks like him.
He kind of looks like him, yeah.
Yeah, I could buy it.
I checked out a glimpse of it today, just
By modern standards, is it cheesy?
It's so bad.
Yeah, I kind of
so
figured
bad.
that. It's funny how you look back at movies that you really liked, and then you look at it with a modern point of view, and it's just like...
how did this work then?
It was the 80s.
The 80s, anything flew in the 80s.
Yeah.
Literally
so
anything.
true.
They were right... the 80s was when they started to first get into, the future, I feel like, when they were what's the future going to be like?
Cyberpunk. Everything was cyberpunk.
Everything. I mean, you had... I love the color schemes of the 80s. Obviously, because I grew up on it, but there was a lot of teal and purple. Purple's my favorite color. They had a lot of those the neon lights, and then the abstract kind of art, the graphic design. I just love the 80s, and then all kinds of funky shit happened with. There was just way out there space stuff. And,
yeah, it was a really different time period. I feel like, personally, I don't know why. It's
it's so iconic.
It feels
very
always
iconic.
out of place when you consider the 90s and the 70s and where it falls. It's just so
yeah,
different
it's so
from
weird.
the two.
It's almost like a time cap. Well, it is a time era now, but it feels like a little its own separate entity. The 70s, obviously, you had disco and hippies and all that kind of thing, and then the 90s got into, I guess, grunge and a slight modernization of things.
80s,
with technology.
it was pop was king. You had
the
Michael
big hair.
Jackson and Madonna blowing up.
The big hair, the fashion.
Big hair.
I like the music sound, a lot of synth, a lot of pop synth, but yeah.
It was the rise of electronica, I guess. You could see where EDM clearly came out of the 80s.
Yeah, I still love that sound, though. I still love the synth sound. Anytime that there's anything inspired by the 80s, I love it automatically. But yeah, so I just thought it was interesting that He-Man launched today, and like I said, I was looking at a clip of it, and it's so stupid if you think about it. Think about it for a second. Prince Adam.
Yeah.
It's a dead giveaway that he's He-Man. There's no difference.
Yeah.
at
Other
all.
than one's wearing a lot less clothes. Other than that,
Yeah,
they look identical.
but they couldn't put it together. They had no idea that was like. Are you serious? It's obviously the same guy. Like
It's worse than Clark Kent and Superman.
way
It
worse.
really is.
Way
Yeah.
worse. It was like a dead giveaway.
Oh yeah.
I have the power. Remember that? Like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
By the power of
Grayskull.
Grayskull. Yeah.
They had such weird
He rode a fucking giant ass cat into battle.
Battle Cat.
Yeah, literally.
Battle Cat,
Yeah.
ironically, was his name. Yeah, I love that, man. It was great during the, in its day when I was a kid, but looking back, man, it was so terrible. They had like Man o' War or like Beast Man. Like
Yeah.
the names were so cheesy and so terrible. I wonder if those toys are worth any money nowadays. I think I probably have some floating around.
Might be.
See if we can flip it. But yeah, so let's kick it off, I guess, with some gaming. Want to get into some game?
Sure. Let's do it.
One thing I wanted to talk about was VR. I was thinking about this the other day. When VR was first rumored to be coming to home consoles, I thought it was going to be huge. I was like, wow, VR, it's really
I think
coming.
a lot of people felt that way.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, I'll probably get one. Because obviously VR is such a cool concept, you know what I mean? They take you out of your current element and take you somewhere else and feel like you're immersed in it. It's so cool. It's obviously an awesome concept. But it really didn't take off, really.
Yeah, well,
Like, would you consider it a success, really? Cause
not yet, but I still think it's so early in it. That's the thing. I'm not saying it's not going to become popular. I think it will. I just think two things need to happen. One, the technology needs to get better. When VR Verse came out, you have things like the Oculus.
Oculus Rift.
Yeah, the Oculus Rift. And what was the other big one? It eludes me right now.
Virtual Boy, remember that?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too.
Virtual Boy?
But it was like all red and fucking terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. But anyway, like you have like 4 cables that you need to plug in. The other one, which I can't think of its name right now, like you have to have like literally these little motion detectors set up. So one, it requires a lot of space in the room. It's a lot of cables. It's really uncomfortable. The technology just needs to improve, which it's starting to. Like now there's ones where you only need 1 cable. Now there's ones that you don't need any cables. So I think it's just but they don't look as good actually. I think it's just technological improvements, which is just going to happen over time. It's going to make it, less restrictive with all these cables and these sensors that you need. So it'll take up less space. It'll be more comfortable and the price will come down. And sooner or later it'll look better too. I think sooner or later it is going to get popular. I just don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, we're definitely not there yet.
And it might always just appeal to a niche. It might not be something everybody looks forward to. But,
Niche.
Yeah.
Often mispronounced as niche.
Yeah.
Fun factoid.
But I think sooner or later it'll get there. I do. It's just not there yet.
Yeah, I was curious about it, so I just did a quick Google, Google search on it, and the data that I found was as of June 2017, so it's obviously a year old. But 60 million consoles for PS4 were sold at that point. Only 2 million of those had VR.
Yeah, the PSVR nobody purchased basically.
I mean, still 2 million is a lot when you think about the number, but in comparison to 60, that's a fraction.
From what I understand, I never really used it, but the PSVR is like one of the worst VR experiences you could get.
Really?
Because,
What's the best you think?
Well, it really just depends on the hardware inside your PC. The PlayStation 4 isn't very powerful. Even the PSVR, it comes with like this little attachment that you plug into the PlayStation 4 that gives it a hardware boost to make it more powerful. So it's just this generation, the hardware. I mean, I'm sure maybe the Xbox One X could do VR properly, but that's probably the only console that could.
Does Xbox have a VR right now?
No,
they don't,
it doesn't. Microsoft isn't even working on VR. They're working on augmented reality headsets, which are totally different.
Okay, explain that, because that sounds wild.
You know, like Pokemon Go?
Yeah.
How it's like something that's there but not there in front of what's
your camera
really there.
picks it up and it puts a little bit.
Now imagine that in a headset. That's what Microsoft's doing.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're just two different things. It's hard to say which one's going to be more entertaining, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Personally, I think VR might be more entertaining because you're blocking out the real world for a total like VR experience, whereas augmented reality is kind of like a hybrid of the
You're
real world.
blending the two.
Yeah.
But imagine if it gets to a point where you can't distinguish which is which.
The Matrix.
The Matrix, bro. Are you in it? Huh, interesting. All right. Well, um, I saw recently. I just read a article that Jet Set Radio, because I always like to go back to the Dreamcast days, because
Yeah.
I mentioned it before. It's my favorite system of all time. So
Yeah.
that holds a near and dear little place in my heart forever. But Jet Set Radio, a lot of you people might not remember that if you're younger, but it was a pretty cool concept when it came out. It was
Hmm.
like rollerblading and spray painting and music and stuff like
It
that.
was a really fun game. I love Jet Set Radio Future on the Xbox. That was really fun. Uh, I love Jet Set Radio. I mean, I don't know why they didn't make more of them, to be
Well,
honest with you.
apparently, Sony had interest in bringing it back,
Hmm.
but Sega rejected it altogether with no rhyme or reason as to why. They just didn't want to go that route, even though Sony did have interest. So I don't know why they won it, because it was pretty successful on Dreamcast. You would think that Sega would want to throw its hat in the ring again. And
Well, from what I understand about Sega is they're kind of in this similar position with Konami, where they're slowly backing away from the video game industry because the main source of their income comes from outside the video game industry. Both Konami and Sega, they make a crap ton of money on like pachinko machines and stuff like that, which is like legalized gambling.
yeah, Pachinko.
Yeah, so in Japan, they're killing it in the gambling industry right now. So they're not too focused on video games. And they also have like really big arcades in there that make a lot of money. They're just not. Their main focus isn't gaming anymore. Same thing with Konami.
It breaks
Actually.
my heart.
Yeah, because both Konami and Sega have long histories of making very great video games. It's no longer the main source of their income, so they're not as focused on it anymore.
Yeah, it's sad for me anyway. If you guys don't know what Pachinko is, check it out. Google it. It's a Japanese gaming thing where it involves ball bearings, loud noises, and I can't really explain it.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's a form of legalized gambling in Japan,
And they
and
love
it's
it.
big business.
And
yeah,
they love it.
They love it.
And it's loud as hell, and it's basically just metal ball bearings, and you're like collecting them. To kind of like if you ever go to an arcade like on the boardwalk or somewhere here now, and you collect tickets and stuff like that, that your ball bearings kind of work like the tickets would, and then you're able to redeem
Yeah,
it.
it kind of does remind me of like an arcade game, which
Yeah.
is why video game companies are getting into the business of gambling in Japan because it's very similar. Well, at least Pachinko is. It's very similar to arcade gaming, but these things just eat money. Like it's
Oh, I'm sure.
big business in Japan right now.
I'm sure. They spend hours in there just cigarette after cigarette staring at it, listening to that deafening.
Makes me wonder if it'll ever become popular in Vegas, to be honest with you.
No, and the answer is no.
Yeah, honestly, I don't see it happening either. But I mean, if they make as much money as they do, why would Americans not be interested in it?
Just the noise alone would.
You think it would annoy us?
Yeah, for sure. We have such short attention spans. You know what I mean? That sound, you'd be like, I'm done. I'm out.
Money's money. If we can make money, we'll give it
anything.
a shot.
Yeah, well-
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how it'll appeal to the American
Ain't
market.
that America? Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. What else did you have on gaming? Do you have anything you want to touch on while we're on the topic?
Have you seen the gameplay demo for Cyberpunk yet? Cyberpunk 2077?
I have not. I've heard of it. A couple of my buddies were like, "Oh, this game coming. It looks awesome." I don't know much about it other than it's supposed to be awesome.
It looks awesome, and I'm going to predict that when it does come out, it's going to, I mean, you can't really say this, but I'm going to say it's going to be Game of the Year.
All right.
Because,
It's a ballsy prediction.
for one,
Is it 2019? Obviously.
they don't know if it's 2019 or 2020. I'm thinking
2020.
2020. Well, the thing is, they're calling it a cross-gen title, which means that even though it's coming out for this generation, it's also coming out for next generation. It's the official first next generation game. It's made by the people who do The Witcher, CD Projekt Red. Looks highly entertaining, and I myself, being a product of the 80s, I do like the whole cyberpunk genre. Deus Ex is one of my favorite games. This kind of reminds me of it because it's a first-person shooter RPG cyberpunk. Looks dope. I'm gonna say it's gonna sell like hotcakes. So watch out for that one.
I'll Google it. I mean, I'll YouTube it after we're done here because I'm interested in that.
And then,
And anything 80s, you know, I'm always like,
oh yeah.
like hell yeah, man.
And then speaking of The Witcher, it makes me think that the guy who plays Superman, Henry Cavill, I believe his name.
Yeah.
He's being cast as The Witcher on Netflix. So hopefully that's interesting. And yeah, how about you?
I think that's it while we're on gaming. I mean, the only other thing I saw that was kind of cool is that God of War, they're going to make that a novelization. So
Yeah,
they're going to make that, like, I guess, like a graphic novel or something like that. Or
could be interesting.
yeah, I mean, for God of War was a work of art. That game was phenomenal. It's one of the best games. I would say probably top five easy.
It's
Best game.
always been a popular franchise. I think it's Sony's best exclusive franchise, personally.
Interesting that they would go like a book route though, and not like a movie. Like I would just make that a movie.
Yeah, I'd make it a movie too. A book's cheaper, so maybe they're just testing the waters to see how it'll do in other formats. If the book does well, they could always turn it into a movie. I don't see why they can't.
And
I mean, they've made Halo books. They haven't made a Halo movie yet.
true. They
At
should
least
make.
yet. They probably will.
If they
sooner
go
or later.
movie route, I can picture God of War being like.
Vin Diesel?
No.
No.
No. Well, maybe.
Who are you gonna say?
I wasn't gonna cast him. I was gonna say I could see it being filmed like 300,
Oh,
like with that like.
yeah, Zack Snyder.
Yeah, like that uber gore, like the slow motion, like destruction. I love that. Like that would be a good film.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't want to see Vin Diesel play him either.
Yeah, like come on. Yeah, Vin, nah. Vin,
He was just
nah.
the first person that popped in my head because it's going to be an action role. Obviously, he's
But-
already bold. I mean,
He has a deep voice for it. He would have
yeah,
a voice
yeah,
for
he
it.
has the voice.
So maybe it is. It would be him probably. Like, god damn it.
Just knowing how Hollywood works, I could see it happening.
Who else is like a jacked bald dude with a deep voice?
Yeah, exactly. That's why he was the first person that popped in my head. Like, oh, clearly Vin Diesel's going to play him.
Yeah, I don't know anyone else that I would actually want to cast as that. I'm trying to think of it like really quickly without dwelling on it, but Vin off the top. Was
Yeah,
pretty good. It's a
it
pretty good-
literally just came to me a second. I thought about it like, well, clearly Vin Diesel's going to get the role. But who knows, you know?
I would maybe Gerard Butler. You know what I
When
mean?
you said 300,
Yeah.
I could see him playing it.
Because he was essentially him.
Yeah,
as
more or
Leonidas,
less.
you know.
Yeah.
Just paint him like super pasty and put a
Yeah.
red scar over his eye and
He's a great actor, too.
shave his head a little bit. Boy. Um.
I could see him playing it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess let's get into some movies. Want to do some movie action? What do you want to talk about?
Okay. Well, have you seen the trailer for the new Godzilla King of Monsters?
I did not, but I love Godzilla. So.
Yeah, I always knew you're a big fan of Godzilla. I think you always liked him better than me, but I think the trailer looks really interesting. So personally, I'm looking forward to
Is
it.
it like Godzilla vs. all?
They show a few, what they're calling them Titans. I don't remember if they called them Titans back then, but they show a few different Titans in the trailer. I'm sure Mothra's in it. I only watched the trailer once, and this was like a month ago, so I don't really remember it as well.
I never
but
got
I remember.
Mothra. Why'd they always bring Mothra in?
I
Like a
don't know.
giant
I thought
moth.
he was kind of lame.
He's so
yeah.
lame. Was he a good guy though? I guess he was.
Yeah, he was
he-
like the only other good one besides Godzilla.
He or she, whatever. Mothra
Yeah.
was good.
I think they showed the three-headed one. I don't remember
What
its
was
name.
that? Godra or something?
Something
With
like
a G, I think like Godra. I think was something like that.
Well, it's like the way
If you guys remember what the name of that three-headed monster was, just comment that down below. I think it's Godra, but I could be wrong.
the way CGI looks these days, like it's really at the point where we could make these things look truly believable for like maybe the first time ever, and the trailer just looks really fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. I've always liked the Godzilla games better than the movies for some
That one,
reason.
I think it was NES, the first
Yeah.
NES. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I love that one.
And then, even though it's not actually a Godzilla game, they had the King of Fighters fighting game for Super Nintendo back in the day. I always thought that was awesome.
When are they gonna because you know they're ramping up for Godzilla vs King Kong. That's gonna happen.
Oh, that happens. That's going to be the next movie in the series.
I never understood
this.
Godzilla would crush King Kong.
I mean, he shoots radioactive fire from his mouth, so yeah.
Plus, on a scale level, he's way bigger. Like way bigger.
Okay. I mean, I really can't think if he is or not, but I guess so.
Well, think
I
about
don't
it this
really
way.
remember.
I always thought about this. Like Godzilla is like walking through and just crushing the buildings, right? He's just like destroying the buildings, and King Kong's climbing them. So obviously,
But
he's,
King Kong has to be able to punch a lot harder. Think
well,
about that.
Well, yeah, he's got like all the upper body strength
Yeah.
and everything like that. He's
Exactly.
smarter.
He's probably more agile, too.
He's smarter. He's more
He's probably
agile.
faster. King Kong just has that long range. How are you gonna? You can't escape the fire breath. I'm sorry. Like it's going to burn you alive.
Godzilla has that lizard brain. I feel like he would
And-
have a stronger rage.
Also, if it's radioactive, he doesn't even have to hit you with it.
he,
Like he could miss, you're still gonna die.
He could die from the fallout.
Exactly. That's what
10
I'm
years
saying.
later or whatever. King Kong, if he won, like 6 years later, his just start getting patchy fur.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
happening to me?
That'd be a terrible way to go.
Poor King Kong.
Yeah. But realistically, he wouldn't stand a chance in real life. I'm sorry.
He shouldn't. I mean, physically, he's smaller. Again, he's smarter. He's more agile. He probably punches harder,
Yeah,
like you said.
I think he punches a lot harder.
But
Godzilla's got those tiny little dinosaurs.
he's got the tail. He can throw his tail
Yeah,
into the
that
mix.
tail's sick.
You know what I mean? And he's got like, I feel like Godzilla goes into this rage mode where he just destroys everything. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Godzilla's been jumped by how many kaiju?
Yeah, and like he destroys.
He
them
destroys.
all like
That's why he's
nothing.
the king of the monsters.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, stop messing with me. I'm going back to sleep under the water.
And you can't beat that range. I'm sorry, but you can't.
I love his iconic roar.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't.
You could see why it kind of started as like a horror movie.
Was it a horror?
Well, the first ones.
That was like a suspense, like Jaws. Well, I guess Jaws.
No, I mean, like originally back in the day,
The
like
50s?
the black and white ones.
The
Yeah,
50s?
it's like it was kind of like this big scary monster comes out of the sea and destroys the city. Like yeah, it was kind of like Cloverfield. How Cloverfield's kind of like the first one was kind of like a horror suspense.
For some reason, the kaiju genre works. People like it. Like,
yeah, I mean,
we
it's
like
fun.
big monsters destroying shit. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know. What about you see The Crow is being rebooted?
I have not seen anything. I've heard the rumors. I'm looking forward to it. They say Jason Momoa is going to play him.
That's a good cast. That's a good
Yeah.
cast for him, for The Crow.
I mean, really being a big fan of the original, I think it's kind of hard for anybody to take the place of Brandon Lee. But it's a good cast.
I
gotta
love the
agree.
first one. The first one was
First one was
one
amazing.
of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, I mean, it was my favorite movie for a long time. It's one of the best movies from the '90s.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It was so well done. That was
Mhm.
one of the best comic book movies ever made.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. Is that DC?
No, it's
Vertigo? Is it
I
Vertigo
think,
or something?
I want to say like Image, but I'm not 100% sure. Honestly, I can't say off the top of my head.
I can see it being Image, or like, isn't it Vertigo a comic?
No, Vertigo's just a brand of DC. It's like
Uh,
third DC that doesn't exist in the official universe, kind of like V for Vendetta, Watchmen,
got
stuff
it.
like that.
Yeah, no, but The Crow is great. I think that it's going to be pretty good. I have high hopes for it because, like I said, I love the initial one. I think that the cast is good. I wonder how they're going to do it, though. It's just going to be like the Eric Draven. Is he Eric Draven in it? He plays
I
the
would
same
assume.
character, and just Shelley goes, and then he comes back and just destroys everyone.
I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see, but that's what I would think.
I loved. Well, I didn't love it, but I thought T-Bird was so funny in that.
Yeah.
Remember T-Bird or
Yeah.
Skank? Remember Skank?
Yeah, yeah.
Skank, yeah. You could barely put a coherent thought together.
Like, the 80s and the 90s, they always predicted how the future would be so terrible. And honestly, it's just not, like, at least at this point.
It's not
But,
great.
well,
It's not awesome.
it's not nearly anywhere near
As
as big. Like, they
apocalyptic.
predicted that gangs were going to take over America. Like, every 80s and 90s movie, it's like, oh my god, organized crime's going to take over the... No.
Gangs in New York, bro.
Gangs were like so much worse in the 20s. Like Al Capone,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
who
yeah.
could literally run a city. Like Chicago, third largest city in the world. He's the fucking boss of it. Like, come on, man. Like we live in a way better time period than the 80s and the 90s predicted. It's so much safer than it was back then too, realistically.
Yeah, it's so true. Honestly speaking, it is.
Now, unfortunately, the technology's nowhere as good as they thought it would be.
They'd be like, beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah,
come
I
down,
know.
you
They thought we'd be like having bases on Mars by now. And
I mean,
shit.
they did
Like,
predict a lot of stuff, like the
cell phones,
the
and
video
stuff like
video
that.
calling,
Yeah.
and what else? There's other stuff. I mean,
Dick Tracy's watch is kind of real with the whole like.
the smartwatch
Yeah.
or the Apple Watch and all.
Yeah.
That. Yeah, that's true. That's
So
true.
I mean, they predicted some stuff, but we're nowhere near. Like they thought we'd all have flying cars by now, which I mean they kind of have models of, but nobody could afford them.
Meet George Jetson, his boy Elroy. Yeah, we're a while away from that.
Oh yeah, definitely. If we ever get there, who knows?
I guess we're eventually going to get overcrowded enough where we'll have to build up, and then it'll be so polluted down here that we'll have to rise above the smog, live above the clouds.
Well, I would say no.
Either that or stem cells will get so advanced that we'll just replace our lungs every so often.
Huh. Oh, I just argue that we'll move towards better modes of energy, and I think population sooner or later will just balance out.
Either that or we're going to move into like nanotech and merge with robots.
That might happen, but that's probably not within the next few decades. Give it some time, maybe.
I want a robot arm.
Like Cable?
I was thinking Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier. I mean, why? Besides being just stronger.
That would just be so cool to have. Like, yeah, my brother has a robot arm. Be something to talk about.
I guess.
It's a good talking point. Like, if you like met a girl and you're like at Thanksgiving dinner, like, oh, tell me about your family. Well, my brother has a robot arm.
I guess sooner or later we'll get to weird stuff like that sooner. I mean, who knows what people will be like in the
Who
future?
knows what what the future holds?
Imagine, like, 50 years from now, somebody's actually listening to this and, like, looking at their robotic arm like, while they're listening.
Like, he was right all along. I knew those Super Mastro Bros were on to something. So what else you got, man?
Have you seen the new Jack Ryan yet?
I have not seen it. I saw that it went up on Amazon, this month?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I didn't see it yet, no.
It's only
it's
8
hard to
episodes.
find time, it's just hard to find time.
Well, it's short. It's 8 episodes. Each episode's like an hour.
You already saw all of it?
Yeah.
Damn.
I went through it like in 4 days. Probably watched like 2 episodes a day.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up for one half of the Super Mastro Bros rating system.
Yeah, I liked it, but I always did like the Jack Ryan movies. I think Harrison Ford's probably still been the best. To me, I feel like it's the American version of James Bond, although it's probably a lot more grounded.
How many were there?
Well,
Jack Ryans.
4 people played him that I could think of off the top of my head.
I only know Chris Pine and John Krasinski.
Yeah, so the first one was Harrison Ford.
Was that the 70s?
No, the 90s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, he made a whole bunch, like Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger.
Oh, I know those movies. I didn't know they were Jack Ryans.
Yeah, he made like 4 of them in the 90s.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I never put the two and two. Was it called Jack Ryan, Clear and Present Danger, or just Clear and Present Danger?
I think it was called Tom Clancy's Clear and Present, because Tom Clancy writes all the Jack Ryan stuff. So Tom Clancy has 2 like characters who are reoccurring in his books and movies. It's Jack Ryan. In the video games, it's Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Clancy's getting bread.
Oh yeah, dude. He's been in the game for so long, and he makes something like at least every few years. I mean, Ubisoft's probably paying him a ton of money for the video games alone.
Splinter Cell was a dope game.
Oh yeah, they should bring that back. It was always like the more realistic version of Metal Gear. But back to Jack Ryan. So first one, Harrison Ford. Then you had Ben Affleck, who personally I feel like was the worst one.
Who did Ben Affleck? Which one was that?
Damn, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But like the plot line wasn't bad. It's just I feel like he was a terrible one. Like the Russians ended up smuggling the nuclear weapon into America and setting off like a terrorist attack.
Was Samuel L. Jackson in that?
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know what you're talking about.
I think he played Jim Greer in it. Who the first Jim Greer was? God, what was that guy? James Earl Jones was the first one of that.
Oh wow, okay.
So yeah, and then you had Ben Affleck, then you had Chris Pine, and now you have the new one on Amazon. But
did he do it justice? He did well.
In the new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the best one since Harrison Ford.
Josh Krasinski's coming up.
Yeah, which I'm surprised about. Because,
Jim from The Office is turning out to be...
Yeah, who would have thought that, right?
Can't put 2 and 2 together. Never judge a book.
Yeah, I think he might end up having a big career ahead of him.
He was awesome in that, what was that, Don't Speak or something, was it?
No, Don't Speak was a different movie, but I know what you're talking about.
It was like the movie about...
Yeah, it's like quiet. All silent.
Yeah. That was awesome. I enjoyed that. It was a pretty cool take on like a horror genre.
I still haven't watched that yet. It's on my radar.
Check it out. It's good. It's really enjoyable.
Yeah, it looks
even though
good.
It's virtually silent film for the most part, but it's really good.
Well, I mean, for a long time period, all films were silent films. So
Quiet Place. That's what it's called.
Yeah, that's what
Quiet
it's
Place.
called. There you go. I'll definitely check that out. Like I said, it's been on my radar. I just haven't gotten around to watching it. But a lot of people would say that the movies with Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, would be like the American version of James Bond. But
I would probably say that too.
A lot of people probably would. But seeing as how the mantle never got passed down, at least yet, and honestly, I don't know if it ever will.
You're gonna have to pry it out of Tom's.
Yeah, that's how I feel like. He's made so many of them now. But
he's like, you'll never take this from me. This is my baby. I feel like that's his most iconic role, probably, is Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna let.
And he plays a lot of similar characters to that. Like Jack Reacher was another similar to that. And originally he was cast in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., but he had to pull out of it. So it's like that's kind of like his style at this point.
If you had to think about it, though, Tom, he's got to be near 50 if he's not already.
He's getting old. He's still one hell of an actor.
He's
though.
in phenomenal
he
shape.
He still does all his own
He
stunts.
does all his own stunts, so let him rock with it, man. I mean, he's.
Oh yeah, I'm not trying to say anything negative about him here. He does a good job.
Well, that's why he's not giving it up. He's like, dude, I'm 50 and I'm still kicking ass. Like, I'm sticking with this thing until he can't do it no more.
But seeing as how the mantle gets passed down with Jack Reacher, similar to James Bond, I think it's like the American version of James Bond, and I would argue that it's better because America. You know what I mean?
Can you think about this for a second?
What?
I have never seen a James Bond film.
Never?
Never.
Holy shit! Not even the new Daniel Craig ones?
No, and everyone says they're awesome.
They're fucking great.
I have never seen one. I've seen clips of them. I've seen like maybe 15 minutes here or there. I've never sat through an entire James Bond film.
So when I was a kid, Pierce Brosnan was James Bond, so I seen all those, and they sucked in my opinion. And that's probably another reason why I think the Jack Reacher movies, Jack Ryan movies are so much better because Harrison Ford, he was so much better than Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan sucked. But
Has Pierce Brosnan done anything since then? Probably not.
He has just nothing too big. He's done a couple political thrillers, which were interesting, and The Tailor of Panama, which is kind of like a spy movie. He kind of still does the same genre, even though he's no longer Bond.
He has such like a smug face, like an asshole face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could definitely
Is that a
see
thing,
that.
an asshole face?
Yeah, it is. Definitely.
Yeah, like resting bitch face. Like
Yeah.
he just has like that kind
Yeah,
of.
he
like,
totally does. He seems like a smug, pompous asshole.
Uh-huh.
But that's like part of his role, I feel like. But the Daniel Craig movies have been really good. I
That's
can't
what I
believe you
hear.
haven't watched those yet.
I just haven't.
Casino Royale is a great movie.
And then was a Quantum Solstice was
Yeah.
one.
and
Was there another one?
Skyfall.
Skyfall, yeah. And I think they're on my like Amazon or something like that. But I haven't sat
You
down.
should
and
definitely at least watch Casino Royale.
You know what it is?
Great.
It's a hard time getting my wife to sit through an action movie anymore. She's
Oh, yeah?
just not into it. She's like, no. She always wants to watch like a rom com.
You'll like it, trust me.
So.
It's really good.
Well, maybe I'll check it out. So what else you got, man?
Uh,
What else you got, bro?
Let's see here. So, as far as piracy and emulation, right?
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but
So you're getting back into gaming?
yeah, a little bit.
All right,
here.
so let's hop back into gaming.
So the Switch emulator came out within the first, well, two Switch emulators came out within the first year of the Switch. So that's not looking too good for Nintendo, at least longevity-wise.
How the hell do these people do that? How do they make? I don't understand the technology, like how they make emulation.
It's just code, just writing
it's code.
software.
It's all programmers. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's all.
Yeah,
It's like Greek to me.
It's called emulator because they're writing the software to make the computer think it's running that version of hardware. It's like copying it.
So these dudes are smart enough to. Isn't it all binary, like 001, 00110? Isn't it all that kind of stuff?
I don't think so.
Oh, I was gonna say,
because-
like it's insane that they
No.
can guess that.
No,
Oh,
coding's much more complex than that, I believe. I've only ever done very minimal amateur work with coding just to test it out and see how complex it is. So I only got very, very, very basic, like just looking at different websites and learning how to code on them. But the problem is, one, I mean, now these emulators, they're not running fantastic at this point. Give it another year or two, and they might be. But not only is the problem that they exist within the first year of the new console, which is crazy, but I think another
yeah, Switch has
problem.
only been out for a year, right?
Yeah,
Roughly. That's wild.
Another problem is how Nintendo's dealing with it, though. They're trying to really go after emulation hard, trying to go after ROM sites and having them take down their games and shit like that. And I feel like they learned nothing from the music industry. It's like the same thing when Napster came out.
Napster. There's a throwback for you.
Yeah. So the music industry, they tried to go after piracy hard. That's never, ever, ever going to work. Ever. Period. Like, all you're going to do is piss off people, alienate them, and drive them away. Like, how you deal with piracy is how, like, Spotify deals with piracy.
Stream everything, or
Yeah, you create a convenient platform. So you deal with it with convenience and affordability.
so you want gaming essentially. You want Nintendo to basically have a streaming service. Didn't we talk about that?
Well, yeah, either that or just, a downloadable gaming service kind of similar to Game Pass. But Nintendo, they need to create an affordable, convenient platform for people that has, like, say, a monthly fee, and you get first-party exclusives or something like that, rather than actually go after them hard, because it's not going to work, period. Like, first off, it's not the first time that they would win a case against a corporation who's trying to go after emulations and ROMs, because it's not illegal. Like the techniques that it actually uses to work isn't illegal. The only thing that's illegal is, say, downloading a ROM of a game that you don't actually own. That is illegal. But actually emulating hardware and ripping games, it's not illegal at all. So even though they have a lot of money to tie them up in court, they're probably not going to win these lawsuits.
I have nothing to add. It's all news to me.
Basically, what they're going after is a technique just to bleed people of their money so that they give up fighting the battle. So you stretch out a court case so they have to keep on paying legal fees, and sooner or later they can't afford to pay the legal fees and they just give up. But as far as actually being able to win these court cases,
why would anyone want to emulate that hard? Where they're like, I'm gonna fight you, Nintendo, to make your game. It's so stupid.
But it still won't work because just another site. Well, no.
Just buy the game.
Well, that won't happen either, though, because another site will just pop up tomorrow, because that's what happens. So they shut down 2 more sites pop up.
It's like a Hydra.
Yeah, literally. Like, look at things like Cody. Like, if you go after the Pirate Bay, Cody comes up, and Cody's basically like a pirated version of Netflix. You could stream whenever you want for free. Like, just better, more convenient piracy services are going to pop up when you fight against them. Because piracy adapts and becomes better, just like anything else. So I feel like they're going in the wrong direction with this, and they're going to end up losing this battle if that's how they want to fight it.
Well, eventually everything comes around. I mean, if that's the way it's going to be, I'm sure they'll do what the music industry did, right? I mean...
You would think so, but I guess apparently nobody learns from history.
I don't know. I truly don't know. I mean, I'll take your word for it, because I don't really know much on the subject matter, so... But, I mean, you're obviously more versed in that kind of thing. It's all...
All I'm saying is, if there was a way to beat digital piracy, it would have been done by now, because large corporations wasted millions, maybe even billions of dollars trying to fight it, and they've still been losing this entire time.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Yeah.
Nico has spoken on the matter. Yeah, well, I mean, was there anything else you wanted to touch on? Anything else you got, or what?
Can't really think of anything.
Yeah, I think that's everything we set out to discuss. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do hope you enjoyed it. As always, we sincerely appreciate our Super Mastro Bro podcast family, and we just love having you here, and we love doing the show. So hopefully you guys did enjoy, and we look forward to the next episode. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day, and take care. Oh, you know what? I kind of want to end with a tagline.
Okay, what's that?
I don't know. I kind of want to end with a tagline. I was thinking about it, and what about live long and game on?
It's not bad. I like it.
Well, guys, live long and game on. Thanks for tuning in. See ya. Well, guys, that was the show. Really hope you enjoyed it. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and like so that you're up on more content as it launches, and we look forward to hearing from you. Please share any feedback that you have, and until next show, thanks so much. Enjoy.